better late than never. I apologize for the lateness of this video. The time change threw me for a loop. I have fibromyalgia and lupus. I'm not sure if I told the class this, but any change in my schedule just screws me up royally. And I didn't think this one would because I gained an hour, but it didn't seem to matter. I've been kind of down for the count. So let's get started. I graded your paragraphs, and what I saw in some of them was that your P's were still vague. And I worry about that because as you come up with your thesis statement, I'm seeing the same people who had trouble finding the P in their paragraph are having trouble with the P's for their thesis statement. The second thing I found going on in the paragraphs is some of the I's didn't fit the paragraph. The research seemed to be most of the problem. The research wasn't on point. You might have talked about Vance upset with his mom for the piss test, but came up with research that said that alcoholic mothers were bad mothers, which when you hadn't even mentioned alcohol in the paragraph. At least you didn't tie it together. And I saw that too, that sometimes the P would have, or the research would have fit. It would have been a good I, but you didn't explain it in the E. And the reason I'm bringing this up is this PIE for paragraphs is the same with essays. They have a PI and an E. So what we're doing right now, last week you wrote some thoughts down to try to come up with a paragraph and some support. And then I talked to many of you last week, writing back to you that the main idea has to be very specific. And some of you are saying, you told me my thesis is wrong. Your thesis isn't wrong. It's just not strong enough. And if you don't have a strong thesis, one specifically relating to Vance, like some of you said that Vance shows that you can overcome anything. Well, there's a lot of stories that say you can overcome anything. Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing is a story that tells you that. But Maya Angelou was a abused 10-year-old black girl in the South, and that's kind of different than where Vance is. So you need to think about, well, what is it that caused him to overcome? What was unique in his nature or in his family setting that helped him? So this week you may be refining your thesis, and you may be refining your thesis even if you had a good one, because as you research it this week for evidence to support it, you may find the research tells you something different, and then you're going to have to figure out, okay, even though the research says most, for example, most hillbillies won't make it out, you're going to have to prove that it can be done because why, okay? So this week you're going to refine your thesis. You should have last week came up with your main idea and had support from hillbillyology. Now you're going to find, let me go back. The thesis is the most important part, and then now you have to find 3 paragraphs that support it. And those paragraphs are going to be pie paragraphs. And these 3 paragraphs that support it will have evidence from Vance and evidence from the textbook. Okay. Excuse me, from the databases. I'm sorry. Then you're going to have the E, which is the conclusion to the essay, and it wraps up all of the E's that you have in the essay. So basically what you've gone through the last 7 or 8 weeks on the discussion board writing your PIE paragraph is now going to become a PIE paper. Your introduction's the P, where you explain how you came up with your conclusion, then your evidence to support the conclusion, your 3 pie paragraphs in the middle, and then a paragraph that wraps everything up. So your assignment for this week, and that's what people have questions about, Refine your thesis if I mention it, okay? If I mention to you on the board you need to refine it, go ahead, refine it. You can contact me through Remind or whatever, and I will be happy to talk to you about it. So don't just sit there saying, oh, she told me my thesis was wrong, which I never said it was wrong. I said it needed to be stronger or narrowed. And you don't know what I mean, you know where to get me, find me. Now, you may think, I still don't know what I mean, but I don't think I don't think I need her. You're going to turn the thesis into a question, either a why or a how question, sometimes a what, but stick with why and how. And the key words in your question are the key words you're going to use in your research. You may also have others from some of Vance's quotes or whatever. Now, what are you going to do with that research? You need to have 5 research templates. You may not use all 5 resources in the paper. You just may not find it, but you need to at least find 5 that are on point. Now, you are not going to go out and find articles just to find 5 articles. You're going to need to find articles on point, or maybe that's the opposite, okay? And you're going to then have to look at your thesis and see how you need to change it, or how you can disprove what the research says, which is kind of hard. But you're going to find 5 articles that are on point for your essay. Now, I want you to use one of the templates to create a paragraph, and all I want on the discussion board is a paragraph. And you're going to create a possible paragraph for your essay. It's a PIA paragraph. And in this paragraph, you need evidence from Vance and evidence from one of the sources you found. You do not put the template up. Do not put the template up. You'll just use the research from it in a paragraph. If you wrote paragraphs last week, take one of those and see what you can add in. Now, what do you do with the 5 templates? I didn't have you create them for fun. They're going to go on the Dropbox. You do not put them on the discussion board. I'm not sure I have anything else to say to you this week, except that if you are confused, don't sit there and say, I'm so confused and she won't help me. Contact me, please. I'm a little behind talking to or answering Remind questions. I'll get to those today or tomorrow.